wanted to share with you today how the origins of nearly every popular myth and legend can be traced back in time to a real fact, either in nature, either in history, either in the stars. We tend to think that the foundational myth of every culture, of every race, of every religion are just children's stories. But in these fantastic, mythological, heroic creations, there is always an element of the objective and real world. So let's analyze this for the moon race. At the beginning of the moon race, remember of the third race, almost 34 million years ago, as quoted by Elena Blavatsky, the bodies were not physical, they were of ethereal matter. They descend from the sparks of fire of unity of consciousness of the center of the creator had to come down in a progressive way to reach matter. And it's a progressive experience that deepen lower into the physical realms of existence. So in the beginning, the first two races were ethereal. And the beginning of the moon race was ethereal as well. So these mostly ethereal moon people have their consciousness, the projection of their living experience, mainly in the astral realm. And as such, they lived in a unity of consciousness, and they had a single eye in the front of the head that was specialized to view, that gave a special sight in the astral realms. And from these facts come to us today the history of the myth of the Cyclopean race of giants, this race of big humans or beings, no, we will not call them human, this race of giants that had a central eye in the middle of the forehead and that could change realms. They were half divine, half invisible, half human, half terrestrial and terrenal. And if we look at the Cyclopean giants, they're said to have a deep passion for solitude. So they were living in a unity consciousness, but they didn't have to stick to each other. They could be separate and live their lives because in mind they function as one, as a unity. So they were physically alone, but they were never lonely or alone in spirit because they had a common mind that was ruling over all of them. And they had a deep feeling of unity and respect for nature because they were in tune and living in harmony with the other realms in the blossom of Mother Earth. And as the third race evolved, they continue descending down to the physical realms, and they anchored their consciousness to this, the third dimension, with the development. So from the subtle realms, they climbed the ladder up to the head. They helped develop the brain. The brain became apt and developed enough to receive the mind, the manas, and the Mu people turned into Hum and acquired the manas and converted themselves into Hum manas. The triplicity of soul, matter, and spirit, I would say, a triangle between spirit and matter unified by the soul, and with incorporation of the mind principle, the manas, the principle of separativity was achieved, and they completely anchored their consciousness to the physical world and were now unable to shift realities or to climb up and down the ladder of the different dimensions. And then the third eye was no longer necessary, as it was an organ for astral vision. So a new system of vision for this realm from the physical reality has to be developed, and the two eyes, right and left, came into being as they allowed them to adjust to the material existence, and they provided the presence of two eyes the sense of depth in a vision in a physical realm with solid materiality. So this Cyclopean eye, which was no longer needed in this new realm of physical existence, regressed slowly and slowly, progressively sunk deeper and deeper in the skull, transforming today in what is known in the anatomy of the brain as the pineal gland. So this is an internal eye that is now silent, but has the potential to reopen, regain activity, and lead us to master the vision in the astral world. So this is the next step of humanity, from the Cyclopean with a single eye to look in the astral world, coming to the duality of the physical world with the development of the mind and the development of the two eyes, to the mastery of the inferior mind and the reactivation of the inner eye, now sitting dormant in the way of the pineal gland, to re-achieve mastery of the astral world, but with mind and a sense of separativity, being a drop of water of the immense consciousness ocean of unity. So this is the way back to the central of the creation, to the consciousness of unity through diversity in the center of the human mind. But let's go back to Mu. They were simple people. We said they led a collective life in nature. They didn't have the complexities of the intellect. They had just, at some point, 18 million of years ago, they achieved the principle of mind, and they were starting to play with it and to master it slowly. From today's point of view, they may seem basic, and in a sense even dumb people, because they lived still with a simple connection, and they lacked the complexity of the thought process that we have today. But they were also very guided, and they were not alone. In a way, they remain spiritual, and in seeing them down in the matter, fighting to achieve all these goals, many beings from the superior realms were touched by this race and decided to come down, to descend on incarnation, to join and guide the human experience from higher realms. And from them, there were a multiplicity of ways to help the human race. There were those that remain in the stars and guide them through thought process, or coming and going and bringing and giving them the clues to survive through the glacial ages, giving them the keys of constructing the basis of society, giving them the keys of architecture, giving them the keys of mathematics and astrology. We were every race, we had beings from the higher realms that were there present for us and to instruct us and to give us the sacred knowledge. And especially for the moon race, they were guided by a group of stars that we call in the Vedic tradition the seven rishis. They're also known as the seven stars of the Great Bear. They're also known for us today as the Pleiades. So this moon race was guided from beings from Pleiades, and from them they acquired many of the knowledge, and from the Pleiades, came many of the implements that we still have today in our civilization, like agriculture, like the cow, birds, all these animal forms have not been developed originally here on Earth, but came from Pleiades and were allowed to be incorporated to facilitate the human experience on Earth. It's a lot of information. It's good to be able to share this space with you and to construct it together. We will continue receiving this series of information, creating this vortex for the sacred knowledge to come down. Thank you for being there. Please do send comments. Do not hesitate or be shy. Tell us what you think, what you have heard, your doubts, so that we can continue to be in tune and in communication. Thank you very much.